Did you know that the Great Wall of China isn't actually visible from space? It's a common misconception, but it's just not true. And that's what we're all about today, folks. Busting those stubborn myths wide open. Get ready to have your minds blown, because we're diving deep into the world of science and separating fact from fiction. From sharks with super smell to the mysteries of the human brain, we're tackling those head-scratching beliefs that have been floating around for far too long. So, buckle up. Get your thinking caps on and get ready for a wild ride as we explore the fascinating truth behind some of the most widespread myths in science. Let's get started. Okay, let's talk sharks. These incredible creatures have a reputation for being able to sniff out a drop of blood in the ocean from miles away. But is that really true? Well, not quite. While sharks do have an amazing sense of smell, I'm talking way better than your dog after a bath. Amazing. It's not quite as superpowered as some stories make it seem. Sharks have these amazing nostrils called nares, located right under their snouts. Water constantly flows through the nares, allowing the shark to detect all sorts of smells. They're particularly sensitive to amino acids, which are found in blood and other bodily fluids. But here's the thing, those smells have to actually reach the shark's nose. That's where things get tricky. Ocean currents, water temperature, and even the presence of other smells can all affect how far a scent travels in the water. So while a shark might be able to detect a drop of blood from a few hundred meters away, under ideal conditions, it's highly unlikely they're sniffing out a drop from miles away. Now, let's chomp on some other shark myths. Can sharks smell fear? Nope. While they can sense changes in electrical fields, which can be affected by things like muscle contractions, they're not smelling fear itself. And are sharks always aggressive eating machines? Not at all. Most shark species are actually quite shy and prefer to avoid humans. So, next time you hear a shark tale that sounds a little fishy, remember, sharks are amazing creatures, but even they have their limits. Alright, let's talk about the incredible human brain. You've probably heard the saying that we only use 10% of our brains. Well, get ready for a brain blast, because that's just plain wrong. Think of it like this. Would you build a car and only use 10% of the engine? Of course not. Our brains are constantly active, even when we're sleeping. Brain scans like EEGs and fMRIs show us that different parts of our brains are firing all the time, processing information and keeping us functioning. It's like a bustling city up there, with different areas responsible for different tasks. We've got the frontal lobe, our control center for decision-making and planning. Then there's the parietal lobe, which helps us process sensory information like touch and taste. The temporal lobe is in charge of memory and language, while the occipital lobe processes visual information. And let's not forget the cerebellum, which helps us with balance and coordination. The idea that we have this huge untapped potential just sitting dormant in our skulls is simply not true. We use all of our brains, folks. Now, that doesn't mean we can't learn new things or improve our cognitive skills. Our brains are incredibly adaptable, and we can always challenge ourselves to grow. But the notion that we're walking around with 90% of our brains switched off is simply a myth. Time for a veggie myth. We've all heard it. Eat your carrots, they're good for your eyes. While it's true that carrots are nutritious and contain beta-carotene, which our bodies convert into vitamin A, a crucial nutrient for vision, they won't magically give you superhuman eyesight. However, we take it like this. Vitamin A is like the fuel that helps keep your vision engine running smoothly. If you're deficient in vitamin A, it can lead to vision problems, but eating tons of carrots won't suddenly give you X-ray vision. The best way to maintain healthy vision is to eat a balanced diet that includes a variety of fruits and vegetables, not just carrots. And don't forget regular eye exams. Now let's debunk a few more eye-related myths. Wearing glasses doesn't weaken your eyes. Glasses help correct refractive errors, allowing you to see clearly, and while staring at screens for long periods can lead to eye strain and dryness, it won't cause permanent damage. Just remember to take breaks and blink. Chapter 4. The Afterlife of Hair and Nails. A growing myth? Ever heard the spooky tale that hair and nails continue to grow after death? It's a creepy thought, but it's just not true. What actually happens is an illusion caused by dehydration. After death, our bodies begin to dehydrate and the skin retracts. This retraction can make the nails appear longer and hair to stand out more prominently, giving the illusion of growth. However, the cells responsible for hair and nail growth require nutrients and oxygen to function, and those processes cease after death. Studies have shown that hair and nail growth completely stops within a few hours of death. So while it might seem like a spooky phenomenon, it's simply a natural part of the decomposition process. Now let's address a couple more myths surrounding death. The idea that people can hear their own funeral is a comforting thought, but it's not supported by scientific evidence. And while near-death experiences are often described as involving a bright light at the end of a tunnel, there's no scientific consensus on what causes these experiences. Chapter 5, Diamonds. Sparkling myths and surprising facts. Diamonds, those sparkling symbols of love and luxury, are often touted as the hardest substance on Earth. While it's true that diamonds are incredibly hard, they're not quite at the top of the hardness scale anymore. Enter boron nitride, a material that can actually withstand even more pressure than a diamond. It's like the superhero of hardness. Scientists have even created a form of boron nitride called wurtzite boron nitride, which is thought to be even harder than diamonds. These super hard materials have incredible potential applications in industries like manufacturing and aerospace. Now let's shatter a few more diamond myths. Diamonds aren't always rare and expensive. While large, high-quality diamonds are certainly valuable, smaller, lower-quality diamonds are more common and affordable. And while they're often associated with romance, diamonds are just rocks, folks. They don't possess any magical powers to guarantee a happy relationship. Chapter 6, Beyond the Fab Five, Exploring Our Hidden Senses. We often learn about our five senses: sight, hearing, taste, touch, and smell. But guess what? Our bodies are way more complex than that. We actually have several additional senses that help us navigate the world around us. One of these hidden senses is proprioception, which is basically our body's awareness of where it is in space. It's how we know if our arms are raised or if we're standing upright, even with our eyes closed. Then there's nociception, which is our sense of pain. Pain is our body's way of telling us that something is wrong and we need to pay attention. And let's not forget equilibrioception, our sense of balance. This sense, controlled by the inner ear, helps us stay upright and oriented. Without it, we'd be stumbling around like we just stepped off a merry-go-round. These additional senses work together with our five familiar senses to create a comprehensive picture of our surroundings. Chapter 7. The Moon, a Gouda, Edam, or just plain rock. Okay, time for a cheesy myth. We all know that the moon isn't actually made of cheese, right? But where did this whimsical idea come from? Well, it's hard to say for sure, but it's been a popular folktale for centuries. One theory is that the craters on the moon's surface, which can resemble holes in cheese, may have contributed to the myth. Or perhaps it was simply a way for people in the past to explain the moon's appearance and purpose in the night sky. In reality, the moon is a celestial body made primarily of rock and dust. It's covered in craters, mountains, and vast plains of volcanic basalt. Scientists believe the moon was formed billions of years ago when a Mars-sized object collided with the Earth. Chapter 8. Gravity. More than just a downward force. Gravity, it keeps our feet on the ground and our planet in orbit. We often think of gravity as a force that pulls things down, but it's actually a bit more complex than that. Gravity is a force of attraction between any two objects with mass. The bigger and closer the objects, the stronger the gravitational pull. That's why we feel Earth's gravity so strongly, because Earth is so massive. But gravity doesn't just work in a downward direction. It's what keeps the moon in orbit around the Earth and the Earth in orbit around the sun. Think of it like a cosmic dance, with gravity acting as the invisible force that keeps everything moving in a harmonious balance. So, the next time you drop your keys, remember that it's not just a downward force at work, but the fundamental force of gravity, attracting those keys towards the center of the Earth. Well, there you have it, folks. We've busted some of the most common scientific misconceptions, and hopefully, we've sparked your curiosity about the world around us. Remember, science is all about asking questions, testing ideas, and being open to new discoveries. So, the next time you hear a scientific claim that sounds a little fishy, don't be afraid to dig deeper, do your research, and separate fact from fiction. And who knows, maybe one day you'll be the one busting myths and inspiring the next generation of scientists. Remember, science rules. Stay curious.